Hello and welcome to This Album with me, William Han. Normally, it's the podcast where each episode a guest and I would deep dive an album of their choice, but this is no ordinary episode. This is an Oasis special. And today I am joined by a very, very special guest. It's me. I'm the guest. It's all me today. So something different today. Before we get into it, though, a little bit of admin to be tidied up. Bit of a news announcement that I've not mentioned enough on the podcast. It has been on the socials, of course, though. But on the 12th of September, just a couple of weeks away, the first ever edition of This Album Live is coming to Northwest London. Yes. 12th of September, West Hampstead Arts Club. I've got some super special guests coming. It's me. I'll be joined by Ben Random from Silver Tongue Rascals, former guest of the show, friend of the pod. We are going to be deep diving the almighty Block Party's debut album, Silent Alarm. And guest number 2 on the night is going to be the one, the only, Jake Farrell from the Screen Rock podcast, a man who is taking his own personal podcast live to Shepherd's Bush in the new year. So sounds like I booked Jake just in time for his enormous bubble of fame to finally start growing. And catch him in a small venue with me while you can. It's going to be class. We're going to be deep diving albums as we always do. There'll be fun, there'll be laughter, there'll be music chat. 5 tickets currently remaining. So if you're looking for something to do on the 12th of September, it's a Friday night, Northwest London, get yourself down. Really looking forward to that. And if you can't make it, it will be up on the podcast as an episode, each one. But you're not going to be able to recreate the magic in that room. And who knows, it might even be a bit too naughty to put out on the show proper. It could be heavily edited by the time it comes on the show. And maybe, if it goes well, we might do another one. So, get involved. Get your tickets. On with the show. It's been a big summer, and big summers call for big podcasts. It's been class. Brat summer reached its inevitable conclusion. We had a good 14 months out of it, though. Don't regret a second of it. And the seas parted a little bit to make way for Britpop lad summer. What a summer. Jesus Christ. We've had Pulp. We've had Supergrass. We've had the almighty Oasis. And it's taken over the lives, hearts, souls and minds of a generation of men and women. Well, not even a generation, every generation, hasn't it? From blokes in their 50s and 60s to kiddies that are finding it, through their parents and getting just as much out of these live shows as anyone else. I think there's a lot of talk about the gatekeeping side of things when tickets first went on sale, but we soon realised that this joy was not to be kept secret, man. Everyone was having it, weren't they? It's just been a beautiful summer, both in person and on the socials. So I thought I couldn't sort of not capture it more on the podcast. I could have sort of deep dived what it was like to go into some of the concerts. And sure, it'd be all right. But I think there's only about 10 minutes you can get out of it, isn't there? And what can I really add to it that isn't being said elsewhere? I will say this, though. It was the best bloody night of my life. I loved the day I got married to my wife. It was really good. I love watching my little brother get married. It was well good. But being in that stadium with my 3 best mates, hearing the songs live, which I never thought I'd get to hear again, and having it be so fucking perfect, and having 80,000 people just feeling equally as lucky as me to be in that stadium that night was really, really spectacular. So there's a reason those concerts were so good, and it's more than the songs. So I thought I'd have to write a few words about it. And I don't know, see if it's any good or not. We'll put it out. And if people like it, maybe it's something I could do more of. But it's going to be a reading of a few words I've written on Oasis today. So maybe I should set the scene. Currently, I am in a infamous chain of hotels. But quite fittingly, this particular hotel today is in the city of Manchester. It was like it was meant to be, wasn't it? So a couple of weeks back, I put I put a post up on Instagram saying I'm going to do an Oasis special. Would love to get some correspondence with anyone that's a listener, and would love to know why they feel so emotionally attached to Oasis. Quite fittingly, the first bit of correspondence I had was from a Mancunian listener. So how's that for some serendipity? So let's hear from George Brown from Manchester.
All right, well, George here, dialing in from incredibly rainy Manchester, peeling myself off the sofa to record a little voice note for you. Long-time listener, first-time caller, love the podcast. I was at Oasis last night. Fucking hell, unbelievable. One of the best gigs I think I've ever been to in my entire life. Heaton Park as a venue always delivers. I think the last gig I went to there was New Order in 2021, just after COVID. Brilliant. And I actually saw Oasis when they were in their original form in 2009. Not the original band, obviously, but in the kind of original status that they were. And I'd probably say that yesterday was even better than that. You know, you're asking what does Oasis mean to people? Well, flipping heck, we had about 20 of my mates all surrounded by each other, singing every single word. As you can tell, I probably lost my voice as well. And it was just a mix of all people from all walks of life. We were surrounded by each other and the vibe was fucking unbelievable. Everyone was so happy, getting on people's shoulders. And it even started raining during the last hour. So like when Live Forever was on and all the big guns, but no, didn't do anything to dampen the mood whatsoever. If anyone's going to Oasis soon, you're in for an absolute blast of 2 hours that will just completely fly by. So yeah, brilliant. This is going to be the summer of Oasis, if not already. And I'm really sad that I won't be seeing them again. Although I'm holding out for some sort of Etihad or Nebworth gigs. But anyway, apologies for the long ramble. But yeah, big fan of the podcast, mate. And Oasis are the best band of the last 30 years. Peace.
Nice one, George. Really appreciate the kind words on that. And obviously great to get a take from a Mancunian, you know, very important to have representation, I guess. So yeah, class, George. Really appreciate that. Shall we get a bit more northern representation? It's a rhetorical question. You're getting it. This one comes in the written form. Former guest of the show, friend of the podcast, upcoming guest for the live show, Ben Random. He got in touch after his Heaton Park experience. He says, I didn't know that level of euphoria could exist. That weren't about nostalgia. That was about redemption and reminding every fucker who the kings of the throne are. So that was the morning of, yeah, he had quite a late night, but it looks at reading his text back. And then, okay, 9:30 the next day. Back to life a little bit at this point, I think. This is my actual review I gave my mate straight after. All I can surmise at the moment is that imagine looking forward to something for so long, but it ain't able to happen. Then this thing comes back, so it gets to happen. Then you happen to get tickets. Then you imagine for 9 months how mint it's going to be. To then be playing in the city, DJ sets in the outdoor city centre, hyping up the crowds in the city the band hail from. And then 5 days having it ripped away from you with zero control, to then 48 hours later, wrangling a way in and sorting a few more extra heads in, and then randomly meeting Bonehead in Manny City Centre on Saturday morning, to then fucking get into the site on Sunday. And then just imagine, after all of that release of euphoria and anticipation and relief, yeah, and imagine all of that, and it don't even come close to how I actually fucking top it was. Took me fucking head off. Have you ever chinned a slush puppy too quickly? My head felt like that mad brain-free sensation throughout. His voice were epic. Both were unreal. Crowd was mint. No piss was chucked. So I went to my normal voice and Ben's dialect there. I hope I didn't sort of... Well, I think I went through... I hope I went through both languages with the grace and elegance it deserves. But Ben, I mean, fucking hell. It sounds like you went through quite a lot there. Losing tickets, having tickets, finding tickets again. What a roller coaster. Look, moral of the story was, it was fucking class. And Ben had a spiritual awakening at Oasis. And that awakening is basically saying, Oasis are the fucking best. He's put it well. Right then, I'm going to get on with it. I've written a few words and I'm going to give it a go, basically. My first sort of piece of written journalism, I guess. That's going to be read out by me. Onwards. On the bus back from Liam Gallagher's biblical 2018 performance at Finsbury Park, my mates and I got chatting to a bunch of lads from Manchester who were maybe a decade or so older than us. But you wouldn't get it, lad, If you're not from Manchester, it just ain't the same. He probably had a point, but I remember thinking to myself, like, well, I've got my right to enjoy this as well. And it got me thinking about when I first connected with Oasis. I was 9 years old. It was February 1996. And Oasis had just stormed the Brit Awards in chaotic fashion. Something clicked. My brain chemistry changed. And I remember just saying to my mum, I really, really like this Oasis band, Mum. And she's gone, well, I've got the CD if you want to put it on, Billy. Asking a 9-year-old to articulate why this band and these songs meant so much to me would be like asking a 4-year-old to explain why their favourite colour is blue. It couldn't be explained, and I had connected with these songs in the most purest, most childlike sense, almost the way that a toddler connects with a lullaby. It simply became part of my genetic makeup. And listening to What's the Story, Morning Glory on repeat, it was just part of the daily routine. It's what I did. I was so young at the point that I didn't really know what it meant to be middle class or working class, though I was definitely the latter. And at that point, I probably couldn't point out on a map where Manchester was or really knew what it meant to be northern or southern. But watching the way that Liam walked around that stage was far more captivating than watching cartoons. So like, while most 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds wanted to play Power Rangers, I just wanted to walk around like Liam Gallagher, bowl around and sort of practice that microphone pose in front of a mirror. And there were countless performative hours perfecting like little arm movements and the way you'd pull back from the microphone after delivering a lyric. It sounds insane to say this now, but in the summer of 1996, 10-year-old me was just completely oblivious to the fact that there were actually 2 Oasis albums. Morning Glory was just on such heavy rotation in my house that I must have just never put on the TV or the radio, and I guess never opened myself up to that possibility of hearing Definitely Maybe. So I guess you've got to bear in mind, this is all like pre-having cable or Sky, and rolling music videos weren't quite a thing yet, but they were coming. Shout out to The Box, actually. Music TV, you control. When Nebworth rolled around in August of 96, I sort of knew there was a sense of occasion. I remember my dad being worried about an event that was going on 32 miles away in Hertfordshire and how that was going to affect traffic in Ruislip. Thinking, bloody hell, this must be a monumentally big deal. Dad's genuinely worried here. I didn't think for a second I'd actually be going to the show. My brain just couldn't even comprehend how you would make that happen. But I also knew I wasn't going to miss it. Joe Wiley was actually hosting the live coverage on Radio 1, and I was ready with a blank cassette to record off the radio to capture these songs from Morning Glory. When they started, they opened with like a swampy noise that was like, oh no, it's nothing like I'd ever heard before. And through Liam's snarl, I could barely understand the lyrics. It was, here we were, now where I am now. I'm thinking, what the fuck is he going on about? What the hell is this song? And why the hell isn't it on my Morning Glory CD? Track by track, these songs kept flowing that I just never heard. My brain just couldn't quite understand what was going on. I remember I raised my concerns with my dad where he reassured me that I'm not going mad. But Bill, you do know they've got like a second CD, didn't you? Morning Glory ain't the only one. I wouldn't get to hear this elusive other album until that Christmas when Oasis obsessed 10-year-old me received Definitely Maybe from my dad. Kids these days, man, they just don't understand having to wait like this. At the time, though, I had more than enough to keep me busy. I'd recorded that entire Nebworth performance onto a cassette featuring what were a ton of new songs to me, and I'd spend hours trying to decipher these lyrics and guess what the title for these songs might just be. Track 1, of course, was Columbia, but I wasn't going to guess that title correctly in a hurry. So in the inlay of the cassette, I wrote track 1, and I guess it was called like The Way I Feel. Yeah. Up next was Acquiesce, but I didn't know that at the time. It was it wouldn't have been my first guess of the title. I just wrote track 2, We Need Each Other. Oh, God, what a title. I love that one. We Need Each Other. Even now, just looking at those 4 words written down, there's no mystery about what Noel was saying. It's so defiant and so doubtless. And all it took was 4 very succinct words to get a big message across. He's saying, I can't do this without you. We're stronger together. And I'm grateful to have you to do this with. 10-year-old me didn't realise this at the time, but Oasis were almost teaching me a code to live by. It was saying, be vulnerable, be honest about your feelings, tell your family and your friends that you love them, put absolute faith and belief in who you are as a person because you are fucking brilliant. Oasis were belting this message out with utter confidence and self-belief to people that believed it just as much as they did. Christmas 1996 was a good one. But I remember it the 23rd of December 1996, and a little miracle happened. My mum was hosting a few friends and family at her place, and she allowed me to unwrap some gifts early. Whoa. One of which was a VHS copy of the almighty There and Then by Oasis. And I reckon because my parents were divorced, that was a case of mum trying to sort of win points against dad maybe, but like giving a 10-year-old their Christmas presents 2 days early, yeah, that's a surefire way of getting me to really like going to mum's house. Bloody hell. It was quite the gift. Over an hour of live footage from various Oasis shows condensed into one VHS. And other than the occasional music videos, really this is my first time getting my hands on what the band really act like on stage. I just studied their movements meticulously. The way that Liam effortlessly walks on stage and the slightest movement of his arms sent that main road audience into absolute carnage. But the real star of the show was that mesmerising Umbro tracksuit top that was over a Ben Sherman shirt that Liam was wearing. I was transfixed, man. I couldn't take my eyes off what I was seeing. At points, Liam can't stop fidgeting about and talking, as Noel put it, absolute gibberish between songs. But then he'd just stand completely still at the end of the stage, or thousands are just falling over himself to get a couple of inches closer to him. I couldn't get my head around what I was seeing. I just still believe it's the coolest anyone has ever been, is Liam on that tape. I grew up in a house with 8 other people in it and a very, very small living room. This meant I didn't get to watch much of this beloved VHS because it's valuable real estate in that living room, you know. Getting ownership of that TV for an hour was unimaginable. So I guess in hindsight, it's kind of pretty fertile ground for a solitary music experience. So I'd be sat in my bedroom, 10-year-old me, it was just perfect for those softer, more delicate moments with Noel on an acoustic guitar. I guess inside all of us, there's like a bit of a Liam and a bit of a Noel trying to get out as well. The duality of man, I guess. Inevitably, future birthdays and Christmases led to guitars. It took me a few years to get to grips with it, but once I'd mastered that A minor to F major 7 that opens Hello, the guitar and I couldn't be separated. By the time I was 12 years old, my first taste of using the internet was actually printing off the chords to Oasis songs from Guitar Tab websites and the school's computer rooms. School's computer was fucking, I was a million years old, didn't I? Jesus. But I genuinely remember a teacher banning me from the computer room for printing off about 10 pages of Oasis chords and telling me it was an improper use of school equipment. I mean, Jesus Christ. Imagine deterring a kid away from an endeavour like teach themselves how to play guitar. What a cunt. On that glorious day last August when they announced the reunion, I remember sitting in my bedroom. I picked up my guitar. It's an Epiphone Coronet, for anyone wondering. It's not the 60s one. It's one of the reissues from a couple of years ago. But it's a good guitar. And I started playing the chords to Whatever. I sat in my bedroom. And genuinely, it was the most musically transportative moment of my life. I really hadn't played that song on guitar for probably about 20 years. And though it's definitely not the most challenging song in the world, I still remembered every chord, apart from like maybe 1 or 2 chords in the bridge maybe. That bridge is mental. And I felt myself sort of instantly teleported back to my teenage bedroom where I was like hormonal and feeling isolated and lonely and misunderstood. No one understands me. But through these songs, I was able to feel these emotions and it sort of made me find comfort as a teenager. When it reached the refrain of whatever you do, whatever you say, yeah, you know it's all right. I was crying my eyes out that day. Partly, I reckon it's because of the defiance and power of those lyrics, and partly maybe because I might get to hear these songs and all the other ones live again in 2025, and that excitement was quite emotional. But mostly I think I was crying because of the realisation that these songs have never left teenage me, and they're always going to be a part of my life. It feels amazing to be approaching 40 and knowing that I'm absolutely serving my teenage self with the kind of adulthood he would have been proud of. I've grown up around these songs, but the songs have stayed the same, and with that, a little bit of teenage me will forever stay young, captured inside these songs. Oasis writes songs that get played at moments of heightened emotion, like at indie discos when you're capturing moments you'll never forget with your arms around your mates, fists in the air, feeling invincible, drunk and euphoric. They write the kind of songs that get played at World Cup montages in moments of inevitable total devastation for England fans. They write songs that get played at funerals. They write songs that get played at weddings. They soundtrack the moments that matter and the moments that define our lives. They write songs that remind us of people, and often it's people that aren't here anymore. There's been loads of these videos of people, like mostly men, crying their hearts out at Oasis shows, overwhelmed in the moment. But lots of them, I think the reason they're crying, undoubtedly, they're thinking to themselves, I wish Dad could be here for this. Or, Brother Steve would have loved this show. Or, that was John's favourite song, man. Oh, I wish he was still here. That gap that Oasis didn't play for so long, people's lives would have changed in unimaginable ways, and I think that's why people cry at Oasis shows. Inside these choruses, there's memories, and you just don't get that at a Pigeon Detective show. Well, look, that was something a bit different. I hope it wasn't too vulnerable of me, too self-indulgent, but, it's my fucking podcast. I'll do what I want. We have got one more bit of correspondence, actually, so let's read this one out as well. I think this one's from a southern perspective, actually, so forgive me for not keeping it purely northern-based. Let's have a look. So this message reads, my earliest memory of Oasis is Mum having the Morning Glory album on CD in 1995 when I was just 7 years old. Me and my brother used to listen to it in the kitchen. We'd use the kitchen roll holder as a microphone when we did the Liam Gallagher impression. Fucking practice that, yeah. After that, my older brother was totally hooked, and I tagged along for the ride. He had every album, every single, and every VHS he could get his hands on. There's only 2, granted, but yeah, both pretty good though. They've pretty much been the soundtrack to our lives. The sound of Liam's voice and Noel's guitar could consistently be heard coming out of our bedroom. And not a lot changed really as we got older. His band, I think it's someone his brother here, yeah. His band played my wedding, and I got on stage and sang She's Electric with them. A dream of mine fulfilled. I was being in Oasis with my brother for 3 minutes. We finally got to see them together in Birmingham on the Dig Out Your Soul tour, along with a couple of Wembley shows. I even saw them at V Festival in 2009. And that fateful night at V Festival, I hadn't seen my brother all day. And Oasis were about to start. We were looking for him. And as Oasis came on stage, I said to my mates, if it's meant to be, it will happen. And there he was, stumbling through the crowd. We didn't know it at the time, but we were together for the last ever Oasis show. Wow, blimey. To be able to see them again together with my best friend, older brother, it's an absolute dream. We'll be them kids again in the kitchen in 1995, just this time with 90,000 other people feeling exactly the same way as we did then. Fucking mad for it. Live forever, JH. Should probably make it clear, that's a message from my little brother. Wasn't that a nice message? Oh, thanks, Jack. Thanks, Jack. That's a really sweet message. So when my little brother Jack got married in 2022, I think, 2021, me and a bunch of mates put together a covers band for the night, and of course did a couple of Oasis songs. We did Don't Look Back in Anger, we done She's Electric. And yeah, my little brother got on stage and it was Liam Gallagher for 3 minutes. Did he let his lack of ability of singing stop him? No, Liam wouldn't. Did he let his lack of ability with a tambourine stop him? No. Wish he had though, it was fucking well annoying. But it was a really special night. So yeah, thanks Jack, lovely message. And look forward to watching Oasis with my little brother again next month at the time of record. So there you have it, something a bit different today. I've really enjoyed doing this. I hope you've enjoyed listening. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. Let's see. It's nice to play with the format a little bit. So, I've been William Han, they've been Oasis, and this has been This Album.